All right, and it looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, chat. Jacob
Hello,
Media,
everyone.
Jenny O'Brien. How are you guys going today? Bullfrog, good to see you here, mate. So we've only got a few in the box at the moment. That's fine. Just going to give them a few more seconds to get in here, and then we'll get underway. Today, guys, I've got my good friend Simon G here. I've brought him on as a special guest because, quite frankly, Simon and I have been speaking recently. And when did we meet, Simon?
It probably was about 2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago, yeah, probably something like that. But in the conversations that you and I have had together, I've really enjoyed them.
Likewise, man.
I think you're, you've got a pretty good perspective on things. I mean, of course, you and I haven't agreed on everything,
No.
but that's fine. We're both grown adults, civilized men, here for an intelligent conversation, and hopefully the audience will enjoy it. And of course, guys, feel free to put your questions in and comments and all that sort of stuff for us. Let's get underway. Actually, before we begin, I've been working on a introduction video for my channel, and I thought I'd just share my work in progress. Actually, I don't know. It's still pretty raw. It's still pretty early on. I don't know.
Do it. Don't doubt. Just do it.
All right. I'll show you guys. Okay, this is what I've been working on for the last hour or two. Here we go. Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then I'm going to go into. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, basically, look, I'll publish it later. It's just a little work in progress sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be cool. Like, it's got my little introduction there. It says, like, it's like, good morning. And then I put a little voice dub over it and it says, Seshoo. So, it's a pretty fun little thing. And I'm probably going to, do a little montage of like memes and stuff. That, have something to do with what my channel, what I want my channel to be. Jenny O'Brien says can't hear it. Sorry, Jenny. Next time I'll publish it when it's done. I'll work on it after this stream or something like that, and get it done. And I'll publish that later. Anyway, Simon here. Today we are talking about the idea of trust. So basically, I wanted to cover, what is it? How do we define it? How do we recognize it? What does it mean to you personally? What do you put your trust in? Who do you put your trust in? Things like that. So first of all, how would you define trust?
I would say it's a belief in the truth of someone, or believe in someone or in something else.
Right. Okay. See, I would actually differentiate between trust and belief.
Okay.
Because, for instance, right, you don't always just like whatever you believe, you're going to trust that it's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it doesn't mean that people can't believe other things. So when it comes to trust, it's almost like I put it down to almost something like a feeling of confidence in someone or something. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I trust that my house isn't going to collapse on me.
You also believe that your house won't collapse on you. So it is. They are quite intrinsically linked.
Okay, if you're going to use them as a synonym, sure. But I believe that my house won't fall on me because I know about the materials that it's made of, how it's constructed, its architecture, etc. So because of all that stuff, I trust that it won't fall down. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So, go on.
No, I was going to say. So they are quite linked.
They are linked, definitely.
They are, and I think so. When you trust something, or you trust someone, belief is a confidence as well, because it's an assured kind of feeling that you have in someone or something.
Right. I would agree with that, and I think that I don't know if you saw the thumbnail for this stream or not, but it basically says that trust equals confidence over time.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. See, I think that sums it up really well, right? So you have confidence in something or someone because of why?
Because they have shown themselves to be truthful and honest, I would say. If you're talking about a person, if you're talking about
let's talk about people.
Okay, yeah. So if you're talking about a person, they have shown themselves to be trustworthy, so you can believe what they say. Generally, that comes with honesty. That comes with them knowing their own selves as well, so they know their own character. You know their own character, so you can trust in what they say, especially when they've been honest with you.
Okay, how does someone display their character in that case? And how long does it take for someone to recognize someone's character?
That it can be a short time. It can be a short time that you can recognize a person's character, because they can often show you their character unless they're very good at hiding it. And obviously there's different people out there that know more manipulation than others. Some people are exactly as you find them. They're very honest. Sometimes they're very blunt, even. And
so these are the indicators that you look for when you're looking for someone who is truthful and honest.
Partly, yeah. I mean, yeah. Just even having the confidence of one person sharing their story with another, which might have been only privy to that person or a few, then you know that they have given something to you, so that shows that they have trusted you. And vice versa, if we feel confident in that person to not spread our personal information, then we put trust, and we might tell them something in private about ourselves or about our life.
Yeah. So basically you're saying that you kind of judge someone in the sense of whether you can trust them or not based on the kind of character qualities or flaws that they display to you. Would that be correct? Hello? Have we lost Simon?
Drops out.
Oh, hello. There he is. He's back.
Oh, am I back? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Sorry, did you hear the question?
Yes, I did, and the answer was yes.
Right.
And I was gonna actually add to that and say,
sorry, continue.
That also, I trust people normally when I first meet them. There's a level of trust that I give to them, but when they show me different, that's when the trust that I've given to them will either be enforced or lost.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're kind of the person who would say that you trust someone until they do something to lose your trust.
Yeah, because I think I will take what someone says at face value initially, until and if I see that continuation of consistency within their character, it will continue to grow. That trust will then grow.
Right. Well, that's interesting to me because I'm kind of like the opposite. I'm slow to trust. It takes me a while to trust people. I think Simon dropped out again. Yeah, he's gone. Simon, reconnect if you can, mate. I'll wait for you. There he is.
Sorry, mate.
All good, man. All good. Just technical difficulties. It's all good. Yeah. What was I saying?
Actually, life coach Ben, that's good. Trust equals honesty,
Yeah.
reliability, and respect. And that's, I like that.
Yeah. I think that's a good assessment of how we can kind of gauge where to put out, like when we're talking to people, whether to trust them or not, whether we can tell if they're being honest with their answers, reliable. Yeah, I mean, being reliable is a good thing. I mean, if they're around and you can count on them to kind of be in a place where they can kind of talk to you and you can talk to them and that sort of thing. That's great. And respect, obviously, you need to respect each other. Yeah, good, very nice contribution
Summary.
there, Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so what I was saying is I am fairly slow to trust. So it's not that I think the worst of people. It's just that I think that it's I don't know. I guess I find that it's a more prudent way to approach life, because there are people out there who will just take advantage of people given the opportunity. Not necessarily that they're bad people.
Yeah. There's a scripture in the Bible, and it says, "Be as innocent as a dove and cautious as a serpent." And I think it's quite a good way to approach things. So it's not being gullible, but it's being good and kind, but while being cautious how others may be.
So say that someone comes to you and they ask you for, I don't know, help or assistance in something. And you say, look, I can help you out, but I need you to do X, Y, and Z. It might be something like, I need you to mow my lawn, take the dog for a walk, and just some household chores or something, right?
I need you to do my huckleberry.
And then the person comes to you later, say it's your kid, your kid comes up to you later and says, oh, Dad, I've, done this, and this, can I have my whatever now? So you give him his whatever, and then you go and check on the work hasn't been done. He's lied to you.
Yeah.
But you were trusting him to do what he was asked, so
that's a good analogy, actually. And that's something I've dealt with my own son.
And how did you deal with that?
I mean, he's pretty honest, to be fair. So it's quite simple. So he hardly ever lies. But when I've asked him to do something and he's done something else instead of it, so he's really disobeyed, then I will remove the thing that he either has not lied to me, but maybe disobeyed me over, or for a time, and I'll talk to him about that.
Yeah, so that's a pretty mild example. Can you think of a more egregious breach of trust from someone in your life? It could have been from when you were a kid, or when you were a teenager or an adult, whatever time in your life.
I think the only people that have an actual power to hurt you with the breach of trust are people that you feel are close to you. Are you still there? Am I still in? Oh, yeah, but that you feel are close to you. They're the only people that, because a stranger that you don't trust doesn't have any lasting impact. So I'd say that probably some of the worst breaches of trust are maybe you telling either a close friend something deeply personal, and then them sharing it with the world, or even a family member. And especially when you've been quite specific, please don't repeat this, and you hear it come back to you, that's a breach of trust, and they lose for me, they lose that privilege, or if they obviously didn't deem it a privilege, but they lose my trust in them to share anything private with in future. And the same could be said with relationships. Obviously,
Right.
cheating is a massive breach of trust within a partnership or a marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you guys one example of a breach of trust in my life. When I was probably, I don't know, 7, maybe 8 years old, I had a crush on a girl at school. Right. I thought she was really cute. She had these like big brown eyes, long blonde hair, and she was kind of cool. And she was a popular kid, and everyone liked her. And so I told my sister about it, and I told no one else at all. The next day at school, she came up to me on the playground and started berating me in front of everyone.
Bloody hell.
You're disgusting. You're ugly. Never no one will ever love you. Shit like that. And I had to run away. And I was like, in tears and shit. But after that, I basically never told my sister anything again, because she had breached my trust so badly. And I was only like a kid. I don't know how to handle that either.
There's one good point in that. You learn the character of that girl pretty damn quick.
Yeah, I did. I certainly did. But again, at the same time, she was a 7-year-old kid.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I was just using that as an example, as for an example of someone who breached my trust. And yeah, you're right. It usually is from your closest friends or family that hurt you the most. But even at the same time, I'm talking about in the real world now, not just not online or anything like that, but in the real world, even people that you've just only met. Maybe you haven't known them for that long. Maybe you've known them for about 6 to 12 months or something like that. You're kind of buddies, you're kind of friends. You're out drinking one night. You tell this guy something personal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that news is just spreading around your social circles like wildfire. And people are looking at you different. People are saying shit about you. And it's just like, what the, so examples like that are the reason why I'm fairly slow to put my trust in people, and why I'm fairly reserved. I don't let people know a lot about me.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
No, I totally understand that position. That's not really my character. But I completely understand. Like I said before, I sort of trust until up to a point, until someone shows me different, and then I remove that any further private information or whatever, from that telling them any further private information. So I still, even though there is caution within me, there's not a lot that that people could deeply hurt me with the knowledge, with my life, etc. Because I'm fairly open with it. I'm very open about it, so that I don't really have much to hide in that way. So it kind of, if someone knows something, then okay, yeah, fine. Whatever. It's I think the only time it would bother me, if it directly affected my work or me looking after my son. They're the two exceptions, because that's really, if it actually affects that, if someone said something that could affect one of those two things.
Life coach Ben said, I think introverts take a lot longer to trust than extroverts.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
I'm not so sure if that's true though, because extroverts seem to they have a lot of connections. Obviously, they're very social, but a lot of the time, I don't know if you have seen this, their relationships seem to be rather superficial.
I don't think he's saying. Excuse me if cutting in. I think he's more saying that introverts take longer to trust people than extroverts take to trust people,
But
rather than.
there are a lot of introverts that are quick to trust.
Okay.
I mean, I used to be quick to trust, but I've always been an introvert.
Right.
You know, so I think maybe it's more of an attitude thing, or a yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think it's um, how much you can forgive, and I think the more forgiving and the more tolerance and
Mm-hmm.
understanding you have of other people, it then makes trusting a little bit easier, because um, we all mess up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure, I know for myself, I've been untrustworthy
Mm-hmm.
as well as being trusted.
What have
So
you done? What if it's not too personal? What have you done to be untrustworthy?
um, I cheated on both of my wives, which is about, it's the biggest breach of trust, I'd say, in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also been cheated on,
Mm-hmm.
and have learned kind of the hard way and the wrong way
Mm-hmm.
in how much that means. And
Right.
so it's gone through that experience, and unfortunately people suffering at the hands of that, and I've seen that too from myself,
Mm-hmm.
and then also suffering from it directly as well, has I'd say that changed my whole perspective on on how important trust is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so after that, you know, you learned that. How have you changed your behavior to demonstrate that you can be trusted and that you are trustworthy? Like, what have you done differently in your life to show people that you are being honest, that you're not cheating around, that you're not, you know, because oftentimes you'll hear people say, "Once a cheater, always a cheater."
Yeah,
But
no.
is that fair though?
uh, do you know, it probably is in many circumstances, and there probably is some truth in that, or there is some truth in that.
Yeah. So what do you
Because
do to kind of ensure people in your life that you're not doing that sort of stuff?
it's by your actions, and actually by just not doing what you did before. So you can't always sit there going improving,
Right.
you're
Of course.
trustworthy, but you just have to do what is right and not do anything that is untrustworthy.
Right.
And
So for example, you know, when you cheated on, you know, what the last time that you cheated on your wife,
mhm.
what was the circumstances? Where were you? What were you doing, etc.? If it gets too personal, please just let me know and say, look, I don't want to talk about that, and that's fine. We can leave it.
What do you mean? What were the circumstances?
Like, were you like what was happening? Was it, you know, a work colleague, a friend, you know, a random stranger that you met at a bar? What was happening?
It was a random stranger that I met.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it was a random stranger that I met. Slowly developed a relationship with, um, and then it led on to the cheating.
Right. So
And
it was
yeah,
developed over time.
yeah, probably over about 3 months.
Okay. Before that actually happened, like, did you ever come to a point where you were like, I need to stop this. I can't, you know, lie to my wife. You know, did you ever come to a point where you were like, this is not right?
Yes, I did.
And what happened
It,
at that point?
I ignored my conscience, which, um, is, I'd say, one of the most destructive things that you can start to do to yourself, for not only for yourself but also for others that that it affects. So ignoring my own conscience and being then slightly invested in that person whilst being married, and then very weakly justifying my own actions. And it was a slippery slope down to the inevitable. And
see, I find that point interesting when you get to a point and you start asking yourself that question, like, what am I doing this for? Is this right? Should I continue? I find that particular point in time interesting when people say either yes or no to that question. And I always find that they say yes by always giving them some sort of kind of excuse, because that's what's needed.
Right.
It's almost like they're sled on the slippery slope. So what was your excuse for ignoring your conscience?
Well, in that moment?
Yes.
In that moment is because the marriage wasn't going well.
Right.
But I just want to clarify this right now, that in hindsight, it was the complete wrong thing to do. It was it was wrong to the core of,
right.
My wife, and it was wrong also to the core of me.
Right. It sounds to me almost like at that point in your life, you were like, because you were saying that the marriage wasn't going well. It was almost like, you'd been, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you were looking for a reason or something to try and fix the problem, but you didn't know what that was. So the only answer that you had was to seek solace in someone.
Yeah, it was a real weak ass thing to do. In all honesty, looking back.
Can I ask how old were you at that time?
I think I was either 38 or 39. I think.
And how long had you been married for?
7 or 8 years, I think. Yeah, 7 or 8 years.
Right. Okay, interesting. Because Katrina Stafford, hello Katrina, she asked, was there something missing in your life that made you cheat, Simon?
Yes, there was a lack of character on my part to do what I should have done as a man, and to actually address the issues in a mature way, and in a way that a good man would do. That's what was missing. It was a part.
Can I ask what you think? What you think maybe the either character flaw, or was it a flaw, or was it a character deficiency?
It's probably a bit of both, really. I think it was a bit of both. It was a flaw because probably having a wandering eye, a little bit, and it was a character deficiency for not dealing with the problems I had, because I think like everything, if you don't actually deal with it and come face to face with it, it just it turns its ugly head up again and again. And in that way, that's why they say, once a cheater, always a cheater. Because if someone goes from one person to the next and their pattern is cheating, then it shows that, they're showing everybody and themselves the type of character that they are. But it's then, I say also, it's also a no, because once a person does truly learn it, and have some it recognizes their errors, and what's their errors within themselves, not in the relationship, because two people make a relationship whatever work or not work, but it's recognizing those flaws and looking in on yourself, or looking in on myself, that helped me change the type of person that I was.
Right. So that leads me to the previous question. What precisely do you think has changed in your character? How have you grown since then? And how, like, obviously, um, you know, uh, given opportunities like that, how do you deal with it?
I don't see it as an opportunity.
No, I mean, like, opportunities as in the situation arises where, you meet a person, you start getting closer, and then, a relationship, a closer relationship starts
Develops.
forming. It might turn into a more romantic relationship. I'm just saying the opportunity is there in the sense that the event has happened. Like, so how would you deal with that if it were to happen again?
Yes. So, okay. So first of all, I don't see it as an opportunity.
Yes, I agree.
So
I just don't have a good word for it.
yeah. No. It is a good word because the circumstances are there,
Hmm.
but you only see something as an opportunity if you are looking for those circumstances to become a part of what you're involved in. So
Right.
I would say that my mindset was not like it's okay. It's a bit like so imagine you got a predator, a tiger or a lion. If the tiger is always looking for food to eat, he's going to see every single rodent, every single deer, pig, whatever it is, as an opportunity to kill and eat.
Right.
When you feel yourself and you're not hungry, and you make sure that you're not hungry, and you have the mindset of not being hungry, you don't look at
Mm.
you look at the animals in a or the tiger will look at the animals in a different way. He'll mind his own business. He
Mm.
don't sit down. He will
Mm.
ignore it. It just do what he's doing. And I'd
Right.
say that it's not looking at people, women, relationships, etc., as an opportunity.
Right.
And often I tell myself, so every man will see a nice looking woman and think, oh, they're nice looking. Before I might have just gone up and approached them
Yep.
and etc., and swap numbers. I will say to myself, is it worth it? And the answer is always no. And then that's it. I carry on.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So it's really more about, like, you don't get yourself into trouble like that because you've just changed your attitude on things and how you approach the world
Yeah,
and people in general.
exactly, and not putting yourself in a situation where potentially things can happen. Because I
Yeah.
think, especially when you know your own physical weakness and your own physical, you have to sort of be honest with yourself and think,
Right.
well, if I was in this situation, how would I cope? Well, if you remove yourself from a situation, it's easier.
Yes.
I'll give
Yes.
you a for instance that happened as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at this place. This woman was seriously flirting with me, coming up to the window in a in a nightie, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see that she had a husband. This is when I was single, and but then I see that she had a husband. He asked me to come in and do some work on their bathroom, or to
Mm-hmm.
see if I could sort out their tap.
Right.
Well, when I came in, she then walked into the bathroom. And as soon as she walked into the bathroom, I mean, and I never wanted to, disrespect anyone else's marriage either, as well as looking back, I wish I hadn't disrespected my own.
Yeah.
Um, but what I did is I left. I just walked out of the room
Right.
because to leave myself in that circumstance would have put me in a precarious state.
Mm.
And so it's acting on what is inside is right. And actually, then after I left, I actually felt, proud of myself for doing the right thing, and
Mm.
it inspires you. It's funny. We often can love what is good. Everyone loves good things,
Yeah.
but we don't always hate what is bad. And I think
Yeah.
it's learning to hate what is bad, trying to learn to hate what is bad,
Right.
is the key to it, because we all, everyone loves a good person and an
Mm-hmm.
honest person, yet we can all be a little bit deceitful. We can
Mm-hmm.
all do things that we know that we wouldn't appreciate in someone else.
Yeah.
And it's trying to root out those kind of things and to actually dislike them as in our own character without beating ourselves up over it, but it's
Right.
just
Right.
acknowledging.
Yeah,
And
it's identifying those character flaws, and yeah, like you said, just not beating yourself up over it, but knowing that it's something that you need to work on.
um,
Sorry, Katrina, go on. Yep.
yeah, I was just looking at Katrina's.
Mm.
Yeah, because I can't.
Yeah.
I can only see what you've put up actually.
Yeah. So she says,
It's,
as a woman, I've always wondered what a man's biggest reason for cheating. Is it just sex or emotional? I think women cheat for more emotional reasons.
I think it
Or
depends on
I
the
think
guy.
women cheat for more emotional reasons, because then she says, sorry, I meant to put in a question mark in what I said. So yeah, a bit like, what do you think?
I think it does depend on the person.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be. I've worked with guys that think absolutely nothing of sleeping with another woman and still being married, and some of them have been married for 20, 30 years. But they consider it just sex. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say for some guys it is just purely a sexual thing.
Right.
I wouldn't really say that in my circumstance. It was sex, but it was also filling a void within myself and my marriage, and maybe even ego. I'll say ego
Mm-hmm.
is quite, and it's probably this is probably a lot of it for a lot of men, is ego and thinking and being validated by a woman
Mm-hmm.
showing them interest, and
Yeah.
then it leads to sex. And that's why that they can, a lot of men will just have sex with a woman, think nothing of it, throw them away, don't really want to see them again until the next time that they fancy a bit, because really it's about their ego, not about anything anything
Mm-hmm.
else. And it's such a selfish, it is so selfish way of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you mention that you've been cheated on?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you about that, because you've seen both sides of the coin. Then
Mm-hmm.
you've seen how it affects people when you do it, and you know how it affects you when it's done to you.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question is, like, when that happened to you, did you still have complete trust in your partner, or were you kind of second guessing things at the time? What happened?
I was second guessing things anyway.
Right. And
Yeah.
did it surprise you at all?
No, just really disappointed me.
Right. Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
What happened to reduce your trust in her before that point? What did she do?
I think it was her type of personality was um, very flirtatious, and I don't think anything's wrong with flirtation. That's not the key in this, but would probably accept too much flirtation and be too flirtatious,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the the lines were far more blurred, and so it became more apparent with her character at that moment, and which then aroused doubts, um, and then I had an inkling, I had a feeling about it, but I couldn't. There was nothing I could really sort of put my finger on,
Mm.
and it so happened actually I sort of alluded to that to her. And then because obviously I'd been a cheater, so I'd seen the type of character she was displaying similar things that I had shown. and so that's what was a little bit of a warning to me, because I
Mm.
saw a little bit of my character, what I used to be in her, and she actually admitted it to me.
Mm. Okay. After that, how, like, because obviously once you've been cheated on and the trust that you had in that person is broken, even though you might have been losing trust in her in the first place,
Hmm.
it still hurts, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you actually feel like you love someone and you are invested in
Mm.
them and you feel that they're invested in you, then of
Mm.
course, absolutely.
So how did you bring yourself to trust people again? Did it take long? Did it affect you at all?
Um, yeah, yeah, it did. It had quite an impact, actually. Had quite an impact. But instead of making me distrust other people,
Mm.
it actually made me look at myself. And
Mm-hmm.
so, which is a bit different, a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of, I sort of I tried to think, well, now I know almost exactly what I have put other people through, and I gained empathy,
Mm.
for those people. And actually, it was, I would say, it was only after that point that I felt truly, and I mean heartfeltly, sorry for what I had put my ex-wife through.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Um, yeah, I find it interesting that people often really only learn like how destructive cheating is only after they've
Mm,
been cheated on. Whereas,
mm.
like, I don't know if for some reason people seem to learn quicker or learn the significance faster when they've been cheated on and not the one who has done the cheating. Would you agree with that?
Do you know? I think I do agree with that to an extent, but there is. I would say there's other people that just this. They are not cheaters. They are
Mm.
very, they're honourable within their marriage. They're honourable within their relationships. I think a lot of it has to do with upbringing, and it doesn't necessarily mean that your parents were bad parents, but I would say that things like separation of parents or one parent families,
Mm.
um, and other things when people are children have a massive impact, or even experiences that they go through as a child, and not having the right role models
Mm.
can have a massive impact on how children develop into adults, and
Mm.
then it can change their outlook on relationships as well, and often affects it deeply, compared to ones that have had stable backgrounds. A good example of a mother and a father, or a reasonable example, a realistic example of a mother and a father,
Yeah. Right.
um, will automatically be emotionally a lot more healthy.
Mm. Yeah. Look, I think I tend to agree with that. It's not to say that I tend to agree that the nuclear family is ideal for raising children into decent people, but that's not to say that the nuclear family isn't. It depends on, of course, the family and the individuals in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely agree. Well, what would you say to people who, I mean, you take a different approach to trusting people
Mm.
than most people, I think, most people that I know. Um, what would you say to people who have, put their trust in someone and had that trust broken? Um, what would you say to them to like would to encourage them to trust again if they're struggling with that?
Um, Good question.
Hello, Logan. How are you? Good to see you here.
I would say that just because one person has broken a trust, you
Right.
know, you doesn't mean that everyone will. It's a bit like, you know, if someone steals from you, you might be a bit more cautious as to you know, you might secure your home better. But it doesn't mean that you think everyone is a thief. And I would say that, you know, it's a learning curve, and see, you know, if when you meet new people, you know, understand their traits, understand their actions, and if it's anything similar to what they've seen before in someone else, believe it. You know, like that saying, you know, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't ignore red flags.
Right.
You know, don't think bad enough of yourself to think, well, I'm not worthy of something better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice. I like that. For my part, I would say that, you know, trusting people is difficult enough, but you know, I think it comes down to, yeah, building your own character so that you don't really need to, you don't feel the need to automatically trust people straight away simply because they're nice to you or they give you some positive reinforcement or anything like that, because oftentimes, you know, that sort of stuff is really quite superficial. But that's also to say not to reserve your trust from people who are nice to you, you know. So basically I'm trying to say grow in discernment.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be more discerning in the people that you share your, you know, personal things with. You know, I've been very, very secretive, very private for a very, very long time. I think it's just kind of part of my nature, part of who I am, part of my being, like just who I am, my personality. But at the same time, I want to trust people. But I spend some time before really, you know, engaging with these people, kind of observing them.
Yeah.
You know, watching, listening to what they say, and then watching what they do, and seeing if there's any kind of incongruities. You know, any kind of, you know, sort of do what I say and not what I do sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And generally, you find, like, I find that people, people tend to be hiding stuff a lot. You know, not like, and I think that's prudent. I think that's a fair thing to do.
Right.
But there are just too many people, I think, that are just too quick to trust.
Right.
You know, and they can get really hurt, really damaged, really, you know, their lives can be really, really negatively altered by it. You know, so what do you think about, like, what do you think of that? Because I just think that my approach to it is, it's like, yeah, it's almost, it is a safety mechanism, you know, for my own kind of protection. But, you know, I think that's fair.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's fair. I think there's
Silly as I want to be. Hello, how are you? Thank you for coming. Sorry.
I think there's sorry. I think there's sometimes caution is always wise, definitely. But there is, if you're starting an actual relationship between a man and a woman, or a romantic relationship, then the two parties, both of them, show a level of courage by both of them are putting themselves in a vulnerable situation, because you are opening yourself to the possibility of getting hurt. So it takes courage to actually put yourself in that. And I think that although we should always be cautious, it shouldn't damage the possibility of building a loving relationship, whoever it will be.
Right. Right. Fair enough. So, another point that I want to talk about is, why is trust important? You know, both to you know, for other people to be trustworthy and for you to be trustworthy. Why is that important to you?
It's important to me because you can't have any relationship if there is no trust. It just doesn't work. When trust leaves a relationship, the relationship will automatically break down. And that, even if you love that person, the relationship will break down, because whoever's done something that's distrusting has really weakened the foundation of that relationship, whether it be a friend or whether it be family or whether it be a romantic relationship. And so it's vital, because it is the foundation for any successful relationship.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think that being trustworthy for me is important because I don't like hypocrisy. Right? So I want to be able to trust people, and I want people to be able to trust me back.
Yeah.
And that's why I try to conduct myself in a way that is open and honest, but, you know, also at the same time, I know how to keep a secret.
Yeah.
So people can tell me things that are personal that I will keep to myself. You know, but at the same time, like, I'm open and honest about myself. I mean, some things, you know, I don't tell people, you know, because I am quite secretive. But in general, I am quite open and honest because, like you said earlier, I conduct myself in a way that, you know, I try to live a life where, you know, I don't do anything like that, so I have nothing to hide. You know, I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal, I don't, you know, do any of that sort of stuff. I try to be a man of character. You know, of course, I've got my flaws and that sort of stuff, but, you know, being trustworthy to me is one of the most important things that someone can be in their life, because it opens doors for you. Like, honestly, it does. Like, in a pragmatic sense, it opens doors for you. If someone can trust you or know that you're trustworthy, like, you're more likely to get a promotion. You're more likely to be allowed into more sensitive areas in a business, you know, things like that.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I totally agree with that. I mean, so what if, let's say, for instance, so changing it, the subject slightly,
No, go
what
for it.
would, if someone was working for you, what sort of actions would you want to see from them to make them be trusted by you?
Right. Well, what was it that Coach Ben said earlier? It was trust equals those 3 points that I had, but the one that sticks out to me first is reliability. Right. So if I had an employee, I would want them to be reliable. I want them to show up every day on time to their shift, ready and able to work, you know, whenever they're on shift. So first of all, I look at reliability. Right.
Yeah.
Second of all, I look at their, like, how eager they are to work in the place. You know, if a mistake has been made, whether they own up to it or not, stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, reliability, honesty, yes, respect. Thank you, life coach Ben. Brilliant. I was just actually working through them, and we're working through the logical process here. So, reliability, honesty, And respect, like respectfulness is very important in order for you to be able to trust someone. Because if you got someone in, like, say that I had an employee that would just like talk back to me all the time about whatever, then it would kind of put a doubt in my mind and think, does he not believe in me and my direction? Does he not respect me? You know, things like that. So yeah, life coach Ben nailed it. Reliability, honesty, and respect.
And that's interesting, actually, because what that shows is that you want to see the other person trust you to take,
Yes.
so that trust you to take the lead.
Yes.
So that there can be that respect, and actually lack of respect shows that they're not really trusting or believing in you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Katrina says, being trustworthy is very important to me. People often tell me things that they don't tell others. I feel honored. Though, because they know I don't tell their business. Right.
Yeah, and that's a really admirable trait as well, I think, Katrina.
Mm.
So what juicy gossip do you know?
Go on, spill the beans.
Yeah, you're only talking to me and Seshoo. That's fine.
Yeah, no one else is watching. So. No, we've actually got 12 in the box. That's pretty good. I like that. Thank you guys, for everyone, for showing up and watching. Yeah, I just gotta say thank you for everyone in the chat as well. AQT, hello, welcome. Good to see you here as well. Yeah. So look, I think that's been a pretty good discussion. If anyone would like to add any more points in the chat or questions, if you guys want any more kind of clarification on anything that we've said tonight or this morning, I forget you guys are in the States, most of you. You know, we can do that. Just have a little quick Q&A. If there's no Q&A, then you know, I might just ask Simon for his closing thoughts, and yeah, we can finish it there.
I know one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust your cat in that picture.
What is it? What is it? The cat? The hat, or what?
It's the hat and look in the eyes. You know, I mean, I think that the eyes are the windows to the soul, and your cat is not really giving me a good feeling. So
trust him, man. Just trust him. The real Chrissy's Corner says, "Don't trust anyone."
You cynic, you. You cynic. Okay, yeah. Chrissy's Corner. Why do you feel that way?
I asked Chrissy to come up on panel with us, but she's shy.
Come on, Chrissy. Come on, you could do it. You know your own minds.
I often find that these kinds of discussions are better with more people, because a lot of different people have a lot of different opinions on this, and
yeah, true.
You know, I would really like to hear the opinions of some other people. AQT asks, how much do you trust your gut? That's a good question, I think. How much do you trust your gut? How much do you trust your intuition?
Depends if I've eaten jalapeno peppers. I trust it quite a lot, actually, to be fair. If I think that gut instincts they're there for a reason. You know, our intuition is there for a reason. And I think we don't always sort of look into all of those senses that we actually have been given. So, we're given, sight, sound, or for everyone that has that sight, sound, feeling, touch, so someone's body language will tell us something. And I think if you get a bad feeling about someone, I think it's of good caution to kind of trust your gut, especially if it's something, if it's a certain behavior in somebody else that you've seen there, and it's giving you an ill-advised feeling. Really, it's then based on what you've seen about that person or situation. It can be a situation as well.
Right.
that actually it's wise to bear in mind and
Hmm.
proceed with caution if you do
Right.
proceed.
Right. Um, have you ever met someone where you saw them, you didn't know them, but you just immediately didn't trust them? And if so, why did you not trust them just upon sight?
Good question. Sometimes it is that it's body language, how they're looking. It could be
Mm,
the way that they're moving, how they're looking at other people. Um, yeah, it can give you a bad vibe about them. And I think that any parent will definitely have that when it comes to having their children with them.
mm,
It's like a automatic protective instinct to be very cautious of other people, um, and
mm.
how they're behaving, especially when it comes to your children. But I think that extended, it definitely comes into observing how people interact with others.
Right. Right. Okay.
How about you?
Zarina Marie Bichkova says, "Hi, chat and panel. Hello, welcome."
Hello,
Um,
Marie.
she actually asked a question earlier. How do I trust a guy when I've been cheated on twice previously? Simon?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you trust a guy when you've been cheated on twice previously? I've never been cheated on by a guy. Um,
Yeah. Same. Same.
all right, that's good. That's good. Well, I suppose it's time. Time. Building time with that person and
I
seeing.
mean, my question is that initial trust, like when you initially meet a guy, or are
Mm,
you talking about, further down the road, sort of when you start kind of getting more, you know, um,
intimate.
yeah, intimate or closer, just, closer.
Mm.
I mean, like, are you talking about, a Tinder date, or someone that that you've kind of spoken to before, like, what is it, Um, yeah, that would be my question. Or does it apply to both situations? Fear of getting closer. Okay, what would you say to that, Simon?
I would say that's a healthy fear. I mean, it's especially the saying once bitten, twice shy. I think that's a healthy fear to have,
Right,
and
I
and
would
and
agree
not
with that.
and not to ignore, like I said earlier, not to ignore warning signs that that person is displaying, if they're
Right.
displaying any.
Hmm.
Um,
Marie
yeah,
says, "Not bloody Tinder, no."
Tinder. Not to ignore warning signs that you might see in that individual or individuals, whichever it may be, but
Mm,
just to be observant, to be cautious,
mm,
and proceed with caution, really. And when they, if trust comes, that kind, especially when you've been hurt, that kind of trust can take time to build, um, and might not always go away, and might leave a person feeling insecure. But
mm.
the insecurity is not something to throw distrust on anyone else.
See,
Um,
yeah, I think that's actually a point, because when you start distrusting people, or not, I mean, not extending your trust to people, or yeah, I actually, yeah, think
yeah,
distrusting
I
is a
agree.
better word. Distrusting. When you start distrusting people, it almost gives them a reason to be untrustworthy, because
Mm,
I've met people in my time where, I've always, like I explained earlier, I've always been tried to be trustworthy, and I've always behaved in an open, honest way. Yet some people will get it in their mind that I'm doing something behind their back, or talking about them behind their back, and then they start to distrust me. And then I found that it caused a kind of bit of resentment in me. Like, I haven't fucking done anything, and you're distrusting me. Why? So then it kind of gave me pause and kind of gave me reason to go, all right, I might as well be distrustful. I might as well go and do this shit. You know?
Yeah,
It's,
do you know what? That's quite funny you say that, because that was one of the things I was constantly accused of in a relationship, um, and I had that bloody minded same outlook. But
yeah,
then, in like I said, afterwards, I thought, you know what? No one can control what someone else feels, thinks, or does. All we can do is control our own actions. And I think by
correct,
being a stand-up person and not letting someone else
correct.
affect our
Yeah,
own standards and our
yeah,
own, our own strength within and our own morals, is actually just making that stand even further. And I
yeah,
think then there's every good cause, or every good reason, sorry, for it. If that person will continually not trust you, then that's on them. That's not on you, until we make it that what they've said all along has been, it's almost given them, given them the reason.
it's almost like vindicating their mistrust.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You said it
yeah,
better.
I
Yeah.
get you. I get you. Yeah, so I think, and I think that's a reason why, another reason why trust is so important. And being trustworthy is so important, because if you meet someone who isn't trustworthy and you can't trust them, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like it's almost like
Absolutely.
it makes it inevitable that mistrust is going to be generated in that kind of relationship.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say what Chrissy said before and this time.
Yeah,
Take time, which is a shortened version of pretty much what she said before, is
yeah,
absolutely right.
yeah,
Is absolutely right. Take time to get to know someone, and that can take months. It definitely takes longer than a few months when it's actually building a romantic relationship. Um,
I
it
don't. I
can,
don't think.
and it
I
can.
don't think it even needs to apply to just romantic relationships. I think it applies to all, like, friendships as well.
Yeah, true.
You know.
And I think a lot of it comes down to a person's need,
Hmm.
feeling needy of, whether it be a friendship or a romantic
Right.
relationship.
Yeah.
That's when you can undervalue yourself, and kind of overlook warning signs in other people, because you undervalue yourself and you think, oh, and
Yeah.
take people at face value consistently,
Yeah.
because you think, oh, actually, I'm double doubting myself, and I don't really know, but I have this feeling, and all of those sort of things, and then seeking that person out, it kind of gives that person the other power as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
um, and any relationship should just be based on a healthy two people coming together
Yeah.
mutually, and like Ben said, respect as well, which is key. A mutual
Absolutely, man.
respect.
I'm really loving this conversation because my chat is fucking smart, man. These guys, they're nailing it. Chrissy, Ben, you guys, whew, thank you. Zarina Marie Bichkova says, yes, agreed. It's unfair not to start with trust. And that's the challenge, I think. You and I, essentially, we come from kind of polar opposites in that respect, starting with trust. It's interesting for me as well, because like I said, I'd try to conduct myself in a trustworthy way, but I'm slow to trust, because honestly, I will only really trust the people that I see mirror myself. People who I know who have the character to know how to keep their mouths shut. And also those people who have that character who are clear, honest, and open about themselves.
Yeah. So I was just reading AQT's comment.
Yeah, it's a good comment. Yeah, if it's someone you're seeing now, you have to agree to be open with everything, including social media, until you've gained the trust that satisfies yourself.
I think there has to be a mutually agreed upon thing rather than a a kind of request from one person or another. I think there
Hmm.
has to be do you see what I mean? It's a bit like
Yeah,
saying, in other words, it could be like saying, well, I need to meet every single one of your friends
yeah,
in person before we can go any further. It you don't sort of start off like that, do you? It sort of slowly is built.
right.
That might happen, but you don't suddenly go, right, okay, I'm going to show you mine, you show me yours. Yeah, you know, and that's the way it is. But it is a definitely a mutual thing. You know, if
Mm,
that works for people to
mm,
do that, and it's agreed upon, then great. But that's not the only. You know, I would say that's just one small thing, and you know, it's you know, you never know what everyone's social media is anyway.
mm,
So that you know, one person could choose to show everything of one, um, but it depends on their character. So and I think, like Chrissy said, getting to know someone, taking time to see their character around others, and especially if they can around their family. Over time, obviously, you know, you're not going to meet someone's family immediately, but
mm,
seeing how they treat others is definitely a very important thing.
mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that yeah, the way that people treat other people really does show their character. You know, and people can see it. People can spot it. I mean, like like we've been discussing as well. There are some people out there who are very good at masking, um, their untrustworthiness. They put on a good front almost.
Oh yeah, yeah,
How would you deal with those kinds of people? Like, because obviously those kinds of people are very
devious. Yeah,
dangerous to trust.
yeah, they are. I agree. Obviously, if you've given your trust to them, you know, you kind of, or you're given information to them, there's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
Um, and
How would you spot how would you spot someone like that in the future? What kind of red flags would you look for?
um,
For me,
yeah, sorry, go on. No, go for
no,
it.
no, yeah, sorry, you go ahead.
No, you go first. Go on, you go first.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Like for me, I would look for things like, if I'm talking to someone who's new, I would look for things like whether they seem to be like how eager they are.
Hmm.
If they're overly eager, if they're, under, um, under enthusiastic, what is it? Those are kind of red flags to me. But if you meet someone and you start talking to them, and it's kind of like you and that person are kind of matching intensity with,
Hmm.
you both realize you're just strangers and you're just meeting, but then you get
Yeah.
to know each other a little bit, and then it kind of moves on to acquaintances, and like you both realize, you're just acquaintances. So then, you might be hanging out at some point, and then you meet each other again at a party, and then like you might spend a night at that party talking to this person. You share numbers, blah blah blah. You slowly become friends,
Yeah.
right? And as you slowly become friends, I would look for those people who are like much too eager, like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
man, let's do this, let's do that.
Hmm.
And then there are those people who kind of do that and then back off, and then do that and then back off, like hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, those sorts of
Do you
people.
know?
Those are red
I
flags that I
agree.
look for.
I
Yeah,
agree. That basically it shows that they're showing signs of incapableness of having a healthy relationship where
right,
each person can have space or not have space. And
right,
when you do reach out to that person, um, their level of interest also shows to us how they are. And we, I suppose we have to each person, whether male or female, has to kind of, it's a bit of a game of tennis. You hit the
Mm,
ball over and then you expect it back. You don't sit there
mm,
picking up 20 balls and go bang, 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 bang.
yeah,
It's it's not then a fair playing field. And actually,
right.
it's having that time and patience on both sides to kind of allow the other person to respond, and then also respond in kind.
Mm,
And that's where, and also, so I suppose when it's too much, it's not respecting that other person's space, and
right.
time and life, and
Yep.
and it's showing a sign of a lack of any empathy, um, of
Or
another,
understanding.
or understanding of another person.
Yeah.
And if it is hardly anything, or it's a I don't mind kind of thing,
Yeah.
then you kind of judge it, and why waste your time with someone like that
Yeah.
who's and the best thing is to leave them alone. I mean, you know, absence will either create want or not, and
Right.
it's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Good advice. I think that's good. Um, let's see. AQT says people are that are overly opinionated, however, they compliment too. It makes me feel there is something they're holding back. All right, so that's I guess she's talking about one of the red flags that she looks for.
Yeah, I think
With
that's a good
kind
one.
of, more predatory sort of people who are like untrustworthy but try to hide it.
Yeah, I
Mm.
think, that's
Yeah,
right. And
so
actually,
I guess it's
sorry.
people who like, well, yeah, they'll be opinionated and say, oh, this is bad about you, or I don't like this about you, but then they'll like compliment you as well to like kind of get your esteem back up, and then they'll tear
Mm.
it down again and then bring it back up and then tear it down again and then bring it back up.
Yeah, it's a push and pull all the time,
Mm.
isn't it?
I think
Yeah,
that's actually a power play.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That
that's a
sounds like
power
it.
dynamic. Yeah. Um,
And
it's
that's not.
it's kind of a way to control someone, especially by throwing off their emotions all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people, like salesmen, and no disrespect to anyone that's a salesman out there, they are excellent at doing this because they generally have quite a level of understanding of people, um, and they know how to get someone. And it's like there's a saying, like, the power
Mm.
to is in being able to walk away.
Yeah.
And if you think that someone is able to walk away, it can create a want in that other person, because they think, oh, hang on, well, if they're willing to walk away, maybe this product is that good. And I think people can be similar. They can sort of threaten, well, I don't really care, and I've got an abundance, and I can do this and I can do that.
Mm.
And when it can be used as a weapon, and that's where it can be, uh not dangerous, but un-
Destructive.
destructive and unhealthy, because
Mm.
it can create a want in that other person, especially
Mm.
if they are playing with their emotions,
Mm.
to then feel needy in that person who seems to have the power. And no healthy relationship should be built on that. It should be definitely a mutual thing. And I know it does happen within relationships to an extent anyway,
Mm.
naturally, because that is almost in our kind of nature to sometimes behave like that, and we don't always understand it.
Yeah.
But when true love of people, so it's not even about being in love or anything like that, but just actually having a feeling towards other people, a care of
Hmm.
other people, then you are less likely to behave that way.
Mm. Mm. I agree. Yeah. What do you think about what Life Coach Ben says here? It amazes me. It amazes me when people on social media have a tiff. They share screenshots of personal conversations with others. It makes them very unreliable. What
A
do you think
hundred
about that?
percent. 100%. And I think that when either parties do that, it really it can show a very spiteful side, and also really they're trying to validate themselves for their own actions, and excuse themselves for their own actions by sharing other people's or personal information. It can, personally, I think it shows them up as the person who has no integrity.
Yeah.
Even if they're trying to embarrass somebody else. That's my position. I think right. Life coach Bench, life coach Bench. Sorry, life coach Ben, you should be up on the panel. You say some wise words.
Yeah. That'd be good, actually. Life coach Ben, if you would ever like to join us on a panel, email me at seshoo@protonmail.com and I will see that and we can organize something. Because, like, honestly, I think that, like, Ben's been nailing it tonight. Absolutely.
Yeah, yes.
You know, and everyone else in the chat has been, like, really excellent. I've really appreciated everyone in there.
Yeah, they've all had very interesting points to make or interesting questions to ask.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. I really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you. On the note of actually, you know what? Let's not bother with that. Look, I'm just gonna leave it here, I think, guys. Sorry.
Hold on, Seshoo. Seshoo. I got something important to say. Everyone put a 1 in the chat if you think that Seshoo should be a real life coach. It's a serious question.
Oh my God, no.
Put a 2 in the chat if they think that he should be a therapist.
I want to see those 2s, you guys.
Put a 3 in the chat if you think that he's talking a load of shit.
Yeah, those 3s should be popping up.
I can't see the chat, so I don't know. You'll have to tell me.
Let's see the 3s, you guys. Yeah, Zarina Marie Bichkova says 3. Bullfrog says 3. Yeah. The real Bullfrog says 3. Jago Meter says -2.
That makes 1.
Yeah. No, look, I really do appreciate it, guys. Yeah, look, I'll pop my email in the chat in case you guys missed it. That is seshoo@protonmail.com.
I would say one thing is that I've only known you a couple of weeks, and yet gut instinct. I don't trust you at all. No, I'm joking. I actually do trust you, and I do think your character is very good and strong, and I actually I do respect you. And the things that you say, you're just, I think you're a stand-up guy. Not mean to suck ass too much, but I'll think of something bad next time and expose. I'll expose you.
Yeah, bury me, bro. Bury me.
I have the receipts. I'm gonna screenshot your ass.
That's fantastic. Sorry, AQT says, did you see my last comment? What did she say? 2. Okay. She thinks I'd be good as a therapist. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, chat. I really, really appreciated this chat. Thank you very much, Simon, for coming on and sharing your opinion with us. I'll definitely get you on another time because you're an interesting fella, and I really do respect you as well.
That's all I was after. That's all I was after.
Oh, well, no, you're a good guy. I do enjoy talking to you. All right, guys. So we're gonna leave it at that. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. My PayPal's in the chat if anyone wants to donate. Sorry, not in the chat, in the description. Or it should be, or it will be soon. You know what?
See,
fuck it. I'm just going to start
AQT.
killing. I'm going to put it in the.
See you, Marie.
In the chat.
See you, life coach Ben. See you. Let me think. Who else is there? Oh, Katrina as well. I don't know who else was there. But yeah, cheers, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so we had Katrina was here, Chrissy was here.
Oh, Chrissy, yeah.
Bullfrog,
Chrissy.
Katrina,
Bullfrog,
Jaguar, Life Coach Ben. Big shout out to Life Coach Ben. Excellent contribution tonight. Thank you so much for that. Did I say Katrina? Yeah, I think I said Katrina. Bullfrog, AQT, everyone in the chat. Thank you so much. And
yeah, you guys are awesome.
Next time. Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, cheers, Seshoo. Bye.
Cheers, mate.